Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to today's broadcast. Fantastic event coming up for you. Ron Gividen's in the house. Escort Radar, if you have a radar question or if a speeding ticket, maybe a story that you'd like to share, whatever you'd like, he's the man. Hot spot, you name it. I'm Bobby Likis, and with me is Ron Gividen. Ron, it's great to have you back in the house again.
Bobby, it is always good to be here. Great to see you, and always great to speak with your audience.
And that's what it's all about. You're more than welcome. Thank you for making the trek, and we're glad to have you here. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, sign up to be an O Rewards member today and start earning instantly $5 back for every $150 you spend. It's fast, easy, and free, and only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Also, I'm proud to say that this segment is brought to you in part by General Tire. Anywhere is possible with a grabber line of light truck tires born from competition. For more details, go to generaltire.com. And for all your radar information, don't go anywhere. You stay right here. Kim will take your calls and put you in the queue. I see we have Larry and William already there. So you call us, 888-CAR-CLINIC. And we'll share information. Ron has great stories to tell, and there's some details. And I, as a Passport Max owner, have some questions of my own that are technical. So regardless, you call us at 888-227-2546. And when we come back, we'll take your calls and talk radar.
And now, back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to today's edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're going to call it the Bobby and Ron, or Ron and Bobby show, because Ron Gividen is here from Escort Radar. And not only very knowledgeable, but Ron, what I really appreciate about Escort, about your company, and about you specifically, is that you're open, you're approachable. I mean, you make a call, and in your website, escortradar.com, you go to Escort. If you're just there to browse, somebody pops up and says, "Can I help you?" I mean, it's a fantastic layout, and I love what you do, and I love the product, as you know. So with that being said, folks, let me give you just a little bit of a background on Ron. Working with premium radar detectors for 2 decades from Escort, he's going to help us drive smarter. In the Wayback Machine, Ron designed RF communication electronics similar to radar detectors, helped set up an engineering department at Escort 2 decades ago. Well, you've been around a while.
I'm almost as old as you.
I'll forget that.
Dinosaur.
Many years, and an MBA later, began to work on the business side of the house, doing marketing, ad copy, PR, and extensive training, both live, in person, at retail locations and on media for later distribution and use, and now spends a fair amount of time with live media. That would be Car Clinic, radio, TV, and the web. Recent appearances on the Home Shopping Network TV. Dave Graveline, who does a great job, by the way,
yes,
Into Tomorrow, and that's a consumer electronics. I mean, he's the guru there. Craig Crossman, Computer America, and, of course, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. The company name, Escort Radar, escort.com or escortradar.com. With that, we do have calls, and I want to open the phones now. So if you have a radar question, regardless, you call us. We'll answer, or Ron is the authority.
Or
seriously.
make something up.
Or make something up. You go. So you'll just kind of go along. Again, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you so much. You know what? It is always so fun and entertaining to be here. It really is.
It is.
And you know, you mentioned stories. You've got some great stories, and I sure hope that we hear a couple of those here in the next couple of hours. But I want to go back in that paragraph. I want to make sure if people are listening, don't go to escort.com, and they go to escortradar.com. Because if you go to escort.com, that's not us. And I don't know. You might be surprised.
But if you Google Escort Radar
if you
pops,
Google Escort,
guaranteed Escort pops up. And if you're looking for the number one best radar detector in the world, and I say this because it's true, Escort. Escort has it.
Thank you.
Let's take a call from Nevada. From William in Nevada. William, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And folks, if you'd like to get in, Kim will take your call, put you in a queue, and I will put you on the air. And the number is 888-CAR-CLINIC, 888-227-2546. William, you called in early. You were first in, so you're first up. Welcome to the Ron and Bobby Escort Show.
Hey, morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning, William.
Hey, I got a question. I own a motorcycle, a Yamaha R1, and I was interested in getting a radar detector to put on there. Is it possible to mount the Escort Radar detector on there? And if so, how does it deal with the weather elements?
Very good question. So first of all, William, thank you very much for calling in and listening to Bobby Likis, and thank you for the interest in our products. Your motorcycle, that's a very hot, sweet machine. I have a cruiser, so I'm much more laid back, but the short answer to the question is yes, there's some things that you can do. Years ago, we actually did make a radar detector that was completely ambient sealed. What I would suggest, and what we do back at the factory, many of us who have motorcycles, we'll do one of two different routes. Thank you very much,
You're
Bobby.
welcome very much.
We'll do one of two different things. You can always use the Solo S3, which is a battery-powered, completely portable radar detector. And so now the whole issue of ambient, the environment, the situation with the radar detector, you just put it on the up on the small windshield or fairing or handlebar of your motorcycle. And now when you pull into a location, a business establishment, someplace where you're going to go inside and be away from the bike, you take the detector off the motorcycle, put it in your pocket, and that's easy. Some people do that. However, I would recommend our 9500 CI. That's our completely custom installed system.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Here's why. Most of the electronics are either ambient sealed or are installed on your bike in locations that are not generally accessible to the weather. And if you're not on a motorcycle where you're going to be driving in pounding rain, which is not likely in most cases, everything else on that particular system is going to do fine, including the display, which can be mounted inside of a small case with a trim bezel, and you can seal that with a ring. There are many different adaptions, and some people have even got some spots on the website. We don't put that on our website because our attorneys would say if we put it on the website and sell that as a motorcycle manufacturer design system, we would have to fully support it in a motorcycle installation. Now, here's the beauty of that particular system. It comes with two laser shifters, and that's our very polite way of saying jammer. So what's really nice, William, not only do you have this fantastic ultimate range, super fast response radar detector that's all built into your motorcycle, you put one of those shifters, which means jammers, you put one on the front of your motorcycle, mount one in the rear, and now even with laser, you're not going to be stopped, and here's why. The instant you're shot with laser, which can be very deadly in other situations, on your system, on your Y1, William, while you're riding, your 9500 CI is going to pop on and blind that gun, and you're not going to be stopped.
And where can he go to get additional information on the site?
EscortRadar.com. We can have it to your location anywhere in the United States in one day.
In one day. Thank you, William, for your call. And William, before I let you go, and for all the folks that are tuned in now, and those of you on the air, we have a great Escort Radar laser detector giveaway today. And the only thing you have to do is call in with your radar detector questions, and you're automatically in the running to win. And get this now, this is the Passport Max 2, which is a $599 value. That's the retail sales price of that particular.
It's this very unit right here.
That's the Max 2.
This is the one that we were playing poker for last night at your house. So this is it right here.
888 car
brand new.
888-227-2546 with your radar question. Just so if you've got a radar question, a similar question, call and we'll put your name in the magic hat and we'll choose a winner soon. One thing that's important for everyone to know is that this unit has 3 times the range of standard detectors. And I do have a story, but I'll tell it a little bit later on because it's almost I almost feel guilty using it, and I'll tell you why. How could you possibly feel guilty about using a radar detector? And I'll tell you that story coming back.
Can I interject? They're legal in 49 states.
It has the Defender database for speed cameras already built in, and it's Bluetooth equipped for instant access to Escort Live app. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So the bottom line is, folks, 888 Car Clinic, your radar question from Ron, or for me, and I'll try my best to answer it, and if I can possibly do that. In the meantime, let's take a call from Minnesota. Lauren from Minnesota, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And my question was, I've thought about getting one of these, but if you put one in the car, and I know they can detect oncoming radar from a patrol car, but let's say you're going down the highway and one pulls in behind you. Can they detect that coming from behind you or the side of you?
Well, first of all, Lauren, thanks very much again for listening to Bobby and tuning into the show, and thank you especially for calling. That's a very good question. And if I understand your question correctly, I believe what you're wanting to make certain is that the radar detector, at least our particular line of radar detectors, will be able to pick up an officer who is patrolling. She may be behind you coming from the rear. Is that your specific question?
Yes, that's exactly, yep.
Yes. The good news is it's a lot like in the old days when you had a portable radio that you might carry long before smartphones or a television set. Radar actually is omnidirectional. And the good news for our radar detectors, not all competitor models, but all of the Escort and Beltronics radar detectors, they will pick up completely from any direction. So direction is not an issue with our radar detectors. And again, that's because of the nature of radar waves. They just fan out much like television signals, much like radio signals. And our antennas are the most sensitive in the industry. So if there's anything on the road, anywhere, we're going to pick that up and alert to you. And here's the best part, Lauren. With respect to time and the amount of time that you're going to have to respond, if you ask a law enforcement officer, what is the single best thing that drivers can do to avoid having accidents on the road? They will tell you, slow down. And here's why. It gives you more time. Well, our radar detectors are going to alert before any other type of model or system, and that gives you what? More time. So now that you have more time, you can take pervasive action. You're not going to be stopped. You're not going to be pulled over.
So let me understand. Unlike GPS, where you have to have a clear satellite view, i.e. you park inside a garage and you lose your satellite radio and what have you, the Passport Max or the Escort radar detectors have 360-degree eyes.
Yes, exactly. All the way around.
I didn't know that. I thought that they mainly focused on the front. For as much as I thought I knew about radar detectors, I thought they mainly focused on the front and pick up scatter from the back. I thought it had to bounce off the windshield or bounce off. But it's an omnidetectional sensor.
It is, and we can talk more after the break, but there's some, you're getting into the very advanced engineering aspects. Some of what you just said is absolutely accurate, but in Lauren's case on the road, not the problem.
Lauren, thanks for your call, and folks, take your calls when we come back from the break. 888 Car Clinic, don't touch the dial.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Fantastic program today with Ron Gividen from Escort. Right now, it's time to give away another prize in Car Clinic's Fall into Free Fuel, don't you love it, sweepstakes. Today, we're giving away an Escort Passport Max radar detector. The one is really a great prize because it's valued at $550. Now, this is for all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all of you folks who have entered. Plus, a little later in the program, we're going to be giving away a Passport Max 2 that Ron Gividen brought with him. It's even better to have Ron in the house because he'll be able to congratulate our winner. And folks, the Escort Passport Max is the first radar detector with HD radar performance. It's equipped with the unique Escort features like Auto Learn and the Defender database. Passport Max delivers quicker response time. The sensitivity is unbelievable. It's more accurate signal recognition. And the Passport Max features high-speed digital signal processing, which you'll hear a little more about a little bit later on. And that removes the interference and identifies radar threats other detectors won't even see. And the Passport Max is compatible with Escort Live, Escort's social networking for the road. A little more about that a little later as well. Previous Escort winners hail from Detroit, Houston, Denver, and Boston. Now, we're going to, and Tony, if you would, a drum roll, please. San Francisco. The winner of the Escort Passport Max is Cody Anderson of San Francisco, California. Let's see if we can get Cody on the phone. And Ron, you'll appreciate this. We use the Gentner system, and it has it's not like a regular phone. It's not responsive. It's the opposite of Escort Radar in response. You hit the button, and it takes a lot of time. But this is a live call.
So we're going to call Cody right now.
We are. We're calling Cody, who lives in San Francisco.
All the way to San Francisco.
Yes, we are.
Good morning.
Good morning, Cody. This is Bobby Likis from Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen from Escort in the house. How are you this Saturday morning?
Good. How are you guys?
We're just fantastic, and this is one of those days where the Eagle lands, and in this case, in your case, the Escort lands, because I'm here to tell you that you are the winner of the Escort Passport Max radar detector. It's a $549 value. I don't know why it's a $550 value.
Well, it's the marketers. They want to do that $995.
$995, but it's $549.
It's close.
I have one in my car, and Cody, I just want to congratulate you, for being a part of all of our network, our social media network, and our Facebook and Twitter, and all those things. What do you drive?
I drive a Saturn SC2, a stick.
A stick shift.
I suspect.
A stick shift.
Yeah. So with all that flat driving there in San Francisco, Cody, I bet you're pretty good with a stick.
Oh yeah, and they have radars up everywhere to catch you.
Yes, they do. It's California is even all around the Bay Area, San Leandro, all the way to Oakland side, up and down the coast where you are and in the city. Red light cameras are big, and then you get out on the 5 and up and down on the interstate, they're putting up speed cameras. So you're going to love this. So have you driven with a radar detector before, Cody?
No, I have not, but my husband's looked at them before.
So make sure, that's awesome that you have a husband, and I'm sure you love him, but don't let him have your radar detector. Because when you drive with this, Cody, it's going to be so impressive, the response, and you're going to notice so many things that were there that some you thought and some you knew that were there. Others are going to surprise you that have always been there, and you've just been behaving. Hey, let me ask you another question real quick, Cody. Be honest. Have you ever been stopped for speeding?
Just once.
Just once. Okay. Well, here's the great news. Here's the great news. With your new Passport Max radar detector, compliments of Bobby Likis and the Car Clinic, that should not happen again. I mean, if you pay attention to the radar detector, obviously, if she's talking to you and alerting you to slow down, and Cody, you just keep right on going, you might still get stuck.
And Cody, I congratulate you, and glad to have you as a in the Car Clinic family. When you get this radar, and after you have acclimated yourself, if you have any questions, call me. The site is fantastic. You can upgrade, not upgrade, you can update the database with your computer. And I agree with Ron. You should keep this radar detector, not give it to your husband, because I will tell you, you will see and hear things that, it will tell you to slow down. And I'm not talking about just out on A1A or A1. I'm talking about in the city where the speed limit goes from 35 to 25 and back up to 45. This unit will tell you and show you the speed of your car and the posted speed so that you can apply. And it will even give you a warning if you exceed that speed limit by 5, 10, or 15 miles per hour, and those are owner settings. We've got a bank of questions on the phone. We're going to go back to the phones, but
congratulations,
Cody. Congratulations,
Good
Cody.
For you. Good for you.
Let's
awesome.
put Tony.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tony. Put Cody back on hold, and then we will move on. That's great. A big thank you to Ron, to you, and to Escort for once again partnering with Car Clinic Sweepstakes. Our Fall into Fuel free fuel sweepstakes is just a fantastic way to connect with our audience, connect with people across the globe. And folks, stay tuned, because next week's Car Clinic, I'll be giving away 3 remaining prizes. So you make sure that you tune in next week from 10 to noon Eastern Time. And a little later in the program, we're giving away, that Ron brought with him into the studio, a Passport Max 2 radar detector. So all you need to do is call with your car questions. And to that end, let's take a car question, a radar question. Ted, you're up next with a radar question. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen and Escort.
Morning, Bobby. Enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Actually, you've already answered my question, but I'm just going to give you a chance to say it again. A while back, a friend of mine told me that the Escort radar detection system was the absolute best on the market. Is that really true?
Well, Ted, it's interesting that please tell the audience you're not a plant. Like we didn't have you call up. You did that on your own. So, and here's why I say that. And thank you very much for your call. Thanks for listening to the Car Clinic and Bobby Likis. industry is narrow, 7 or 8 worldwide major players, of which Escort and Beltronics are under one roof. And in that industry, yes, and here's how we know that we are the best. Here's how you can know as the listener and watching the show. If you simply go to Google and Google radar detector, it will pop up with many different tests, independent surveys, independent blogs, forums, other people in the niche in the industry who are aficionados, much like yourself, and the listeners of the show. They're all going to say the same thing that I'm about to say. But we do it formally. Once a year, there's a test out in the West Texas desert.
Oh, shootout.
A shootout, and nobody else is there. Trust me, no one ever goes all the way out to I forget the name of the little city, but it's dried up. It's an old ghost town, literally. And we go there because it's a perfectly flat environment, no vehicles, no other cars. All of the other radar detector manufacturers show up with their latest products, and all of the gun manufacturers show up on the other side. And there's an actual formal, engineer-administered, law enforcement observed shootout test. Yes, all of the officers recording the results in the vehicles are actual police officers. And then the gun manufacturers and the radar detector manufacturers turn their equipment over to independent engineers, physicists, technicians to operate the test. We're just there to make sure that our product is turned on and set up, but they do the test. And here's the great news. So, Ted, this is how I know how to answer this question for certain. We come back from that shootout every single year. And Bobby started the show this morning going all the way back to the creation of the earth with how old he is, and shortly thereafter me joining the radar detector industry. We have never come back not the absolute winner in every category. So there's a formal test that does things like over the hill, around bends, scatter environment. We even now test against red light camera circuits. We go around a little drive-through and make sure that we can see all the red light cameras. Flat out range, rejection of false alerts, which we'll get more into in the show, and no one else that's there can perform anywhere near the same level. There's a fun story to tell about that, but I don't have time, I suspect, right now.
Right, probably not. We'll take another call. But, Ted, thank you so much for your call, and most appreciated. And I thank you for listening to our program, to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You mentioned, and I just want to touch base on this because we'll take a call from Nick, who's up next. And, folks, if you want to get in, and just as a reminder, everyone who calls will have your name in a magic hat to win a Passport Max 2 radar detector in the second hour of today's program. And if for some reason our affiliate doesn't carry both hours or we shifted an hour, you can always go to Watch Bobby Live. And if you're there right now, we'll wave at the cameras. A special hello. Let's go to Nick in Arkansas. Nick, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Hello, Nick.
How you doing? I'm from Alaska, though.
Oh,
yeah.
Alaska. Oh, well, that's my bad. AK, that's right. AK is Alaska. Where do you live in Alaska?
I live in the city, Anchorage.
Oh, cool. Well, what's your question?
Well, the question is, I run the Escort Redline radar detector, and I run that with the Escort Live. And my question for Ron is, what are we looking like with Escort Live? You know, I know, I'm in Alaska, but a lot of people up here actually do run Escort products. So I want to know what's coming in 2015 and like functionality and user base. What's coming down the pipeline for Escort Live?
Wow.
Well, first of all, I would say thank you so very much, Nick, for calling in all the way from Alaska and listening to Bobby Likis in the Car Clinic. Thank you for driving with the red line. That is our muscle car version of our radar detectors. It is the absolute extreme sensitivity. That detector is phenomenal. Not in Alaska, but if you were in the only state where you cannot drive with a radar detector legally, which is Virginia, they actually use radar or RF electrical signal sniffers, little radios that pick up extraneous signals from radar detectors. All other radar detector models on the planet, if you're driving in Virginia, they can see those. But Nick's red line, if he were in Virginia, they cannot see that because it's electrically sealed. It's invisible to other RF radar detectors. And I don't want to get off track. So, Nick, let me tell you what's coming for Escort Live. Thank you for using that as well. In the Escort Live app for iPhone and Android, you download the app, and now what's really cool is once you're in the app, everyone that is in the app at the same time, you all share that information. Here's one new thing that we're going to announce in 3 weeks at the CES show, Nick. We're bringing Active Air Patrol to Escort Live. So now you'll know when they're up there, thanks to Escort Live. And there's some more things that are coming. We're always updating that app. And thank you so very much for using the app, driving with the red line, and thank you again for your call from Alaska.
Thanks, Nick. And I just had you placed in Arkansas, but again, you're in Alaska. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come back, and we have Captain Jim. I see Stan, Dick, and Christy. Folks, don't go away. We'll take all of your car questions and all your radar questions at 888-227-2546. Ron, I have to confess, I didn't know there was a red line. How was that? When we come back, how was that? How was that I don't know that? Don't touch the dial. We'll be back.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this special edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen from Escort. Always a pleasure to have you in the house, and I mean that both professionally and personally. You do such a great job. You obviously you're so well versed on radar detectors and the technology. And a little later on, I do have a question, and I'll get to that. But I want to move along with the phones now. So we'll go to New York, and we're going to have Dick to join us. But first, I want to shout out to Mike Multane and David Lang, General Manager and Program Director, WNDB, 1150 AM in Daytona Beach, Florida. And we are simulcasting with 93.5 there in Daytona Beach. And Ron, just an FYI, we started with 4 stations back when we were simply radio, and now we've morphed into this network of social media and multi-platforms. But the bottom line is we started with 4 stations in 2 states, and WNDB, that was 23 years ago, was one of those. And we're still Mark Bernier, who had a short stay as program director, decided, I'll put this car guy on. And we've been there ever since, and I really am proud of that. We've performed and produced about 11 remote broadcasts from the Daytona Beach, including John Hall Chevrolet, the Daytona Racetrack, Preston Roots box up on when it was called the Winston Tower. So a special connection that I have with all the folks in Daytona Beach.
So sometimes you run through and you say something like that, and it's easy for us to listen, nod our head, and let that go. That is monumental. It really is. 23 years. You start with 4 stations, 2, then 4, and now today you're this entire network that really, you could argue, is not just in the United States. It's actually global.
No. We get calls from Afghanistan and from military.
Which is just incredible.
So
congratulations.
Thank you.
And since you said personal as well as professional, the personal level is just awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. Let's go to New York. And Dick, thank you for holding. And then Christy and Captain Jim and Stan, Mike, all you folks, we're going to come to you, I promise. Dick, it's your turn. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Bobby and Ron.
Well, happy holidays, Bob and Ron.
Thank you, sir.
I guess I got like a 3-point question. Are they legal in New York State? What happens? How do they work good? Well, like when you're going down a highway and there's a lot of tractor trailers in front of you. And the third part is, what are they going to do about the cameras and the helicopters? Will they pick up those also?
Wow.
So those are, Dick, thank you so much for calling in from New York, and thank you very much for thank you for the holiday wishes. Best back to you as well. The holidays are lots of fun. In fact, some of Bobby's notes here, they've put his team is just a phenomenal team. They've got these little holiday logos on the top of them so that I can get a kick out of them. Bobby can see them. Wish you could see them, so thank you. Hey, New York is that's a tough state, and so the good news on all 3 of those questions, 3 great questions. First of all, in New York, you can, in fact, have a radar detector. It is entirely legal. Nobody can hassle you for having a radar detector. You can have it in the car. You can drive with it. You can use it. It is perfectly legal. Only one state. We said this before. Only in Virginia, and we do, in fact, have answers for that. Secondly, you ask a very insightful, good question. What about other tractor-trailer rigs if you're in the city with buildings? There are some environmental factors, just like when you and I are having a conversation, Dick. If somebody walks between us, my audio gets a little bit muted. But here's the good news. An Escort radar detector for any given scenario, any given situation, tractor trailers, other vehicles, hills, terrain, buildings, our detectors are the most sensitive in the industry. We're still going to receive a radar signal. You're going to be okay using our detector. Not all detectors, but you will be okay using an Escort or Beltronics radar detector. And finally, as the helicopter flying overhead. Typically for the air patrol that's up and they're enforcing by air, which is a simple X equals VT calculation. We all learned that in 7th or 8th grade math, just as an algebra equation. Your speed equals the distance traveled divided by the time. And so what they're actually doing with that helicopter or the aircraft above you, they watch you pass by on a line down below. Mm-hmm. They start a stopwatch, and if you cross the next marked off line prior to a certain amount of time that has passed, they know that you're speeding. They radio down below, and now you get pulled over. So the good news there, Dick, we just talked about this a couple of questions or callers prior to you joining the show. And our Escort Live Ticket Protection app, that's an app that's for your smartphone, Android or iPhone. Inside of that app, we're going to announce here in 3 weeks that we are now letting drivers know when they pass through active air patrol zones. That is to say, if they're up there with a helicopter or up there with an aircraft, the Escort Live Ticket Protection app is going to alert you and let you know that you're in an active air patrol zone. So how's that for 3 out of 3?
How about that? Well, anyway, have a happy holiday, guys.
All right. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Dick. Thanks for calling. And again, you can go to escortradar.com for additional information. And with that, let's go from...
We have holiday logos on the website.
Terrific.
They're not as nice as these. No, they're not. I better not say that. Our web guys are very
Let's go from New York to Missouri.
I didn't mean that, guys.
From New York to Missouri, Christy, thank you for holding. And then Captain Jim's coming up next. Christy, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron and Bobby this morning.
Good morning, guys. Happy holidays.
Thank you. The same right back at you.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you for calling.
Hey, I've got a question. I'm considering getting an Escort Max. My question is it better to plug into the cigarette port or hardwire it to the actual car? Does one function better than the other?
Well, that's a great question.
Can I tell you about my Magic Hat?
Yes. I have the same question. Because I'm torn with this.
Let me tell you about.
You go.
Let me tell you about my Magic Hat. You're going to go, and it's going to be good. But Christy, I have great news for you. I once had a Magic Hat, but I lost it. It's gone. Bobby may have found it because Bobby has a Magic Hat. And here's the good news: by calling in, you've just been entered into a drawing for a Passport Max radar detector. And I think that's great news because you stand a relatively decent chance of actually winning one, but it's still good that you're considering buying one, which makes you very smart. Very smart. Now, to the question of which way to power that unit, Bobby's going to tell you a story.
Well, and to that end, the unit will not know whether
But you're in the Magic Hat.
whether it's hardwired. Christy, the unit doesn't care as long as it gets 12 volts from the car. What is the difference is, and what kind of car do you drive?
I just got a brand new CLA Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, cool! That is one of my favorite, and I'm not just saying this.
Awesome.
That's one of my favorite automobiles. And by the way, it's Mercedes' first front-wheel drive, and it outsold what Mercedes thought that it would. In fact, you have some dealers that just don't get them and don't have them yet,
which is a tough problem.
Here's the challenge that I have, and I have this very same challenge in my own car. I do not want wires coming over my dash just because I'm a neat freak, and so I want to hardwire it. However, that's a bit invasive. What that means is someone will have to run a wire behind the dash, and some panel will have to come off. And then hopefully, and the way cars are made today, and yours included, Christy, the way cars are made today, unless you know how to pop off or disassemble a component on the dash, it can be not only intimidating, you can do damage. And you wouldn't want to, for the sake of a hard wiring, which means that you have a wire that comes out of nowhere and makes the unit work, versus a cigarette or cigar port, as you said, battery port. So my option is this, and I'm doing this on my very car. I fire my Passport Max from a port like you're talking about, but I've managed to run the wire, for the most part, along the console, under the lip of the console where the leather wraps around, so you can't see where it comes from. There is a single wire that comes up from my dash to the unit and fires the unit. So I preferred to do that, even though I would rather, and if it were a perfect world, I'd rather take the dash apart and run an invisible wire to it. But that just didn't. I wasn't comfortable with that. So for you, I think you can have it both ways. if you should win. If not, buy your Radar Max, the Max or Passport Max 2, and then use the cigar plug to fire it until you say, well, I do want to hardwire it. And by that time, you'll have someone in your local area. Where are you from, Missouri?
Just right outside St. Louis.
Okay, then you'll have someone there that's in the aftermarket electronics that has had the car part, or maybe even the dealer, and they can run a hard wire, which is like an invisible wire.
And they'll have a magic hat.
That is a great
magic tool.
That is a great question. We'll put your name in the hat, and thank you so much. Any more questions there, or you're good?
Nope, I think that answers what I'm just excited to be answered in the drawing.
Yeah. What color is your car?
It is like a slate gray, very, very pretty.
Yeah.
That's very awesome, Christy. Good. Hey, good luck with your installation.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for your call. Now let's go from Missouri to Nevada. Captain Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis. And folks, if you'd like to get in now, there just happens to be one slot, but you need to fill it. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Captain Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today on the Bobby and Ron and Escort show.
Well, I have to say, and good morning to you all, I have to say you both are the best-looking two that I've seen on my computer this morning.
So people really can see that.
It's HD. It's HD.
So thank you very much, Captain Jim. May I ask a question, Captain Jim?
Yes. I have a rather old Cobra radar detector, and years ago it used to drive me nuts, especially when I was driving in the marina areas going to work, because the radars from some of the boats passing by would constantly set it off. If I buy a new one, would I have that same problem?
So that is a great question, because it leads into this whole topic that is very, very much a personal favorite of mine. So I'm not sure, Captain Jim, if you tuned in at the very beginning of the show, but before I go any further, what is the captain from in your name? Captain Jim?
Yacht captain.
Oh, okay, Captain Jim. Very, very cool. The ocean, the water is awesome. We used to have a boat back in the old days. But Bobby talked about my tenure in the industry, and it's interesting that you mentioned Cobra. We have some news about that. We'll talk in a second. But your specific question is great for this reason. Having been an engineer and then somebody close to radar detectors, used the products before I entered the industry, but for more than 2.5 decades, of all of the designs and innovations, and Escort Beltronics, we generally come up with all of the new technology in the industry. It's not a big industry, but we're the guys that create the things that work. Of all the things we've ever done, the ability to eliminate those annoying false alerts, like your Cobra radar detector alerting when the boats go by, and everyone else that's listening to the show and that's driven with a radar detector, and they go by the bank, they go by the big box stores, any place where there are automatic doors, alarm systems, motion sensors, even your neighbor's garage door opener, will cause all other radar detectors to alert. That's because other radar detectors are simple, dumb radios. If there's radar in the band, they pick it up, they will alert, and it's not a real alert. The greatest thing that we ever did has been 8 years running with the original Passport 9500 IX radar detector. And Captain Jim, here's the great news. The technology in that radar detector was such that the detector would learn where those false alert sources were, or are, depends on whether you're coming or going, and then lock them out. So now when you drive with one of our new model radar detectors, the Max, the IX still, or the new Passport Max 2, and by the way, you're now entered in a drawing for that as well. The good news is that radar detector doesn't like those false alerts either, but even better, it has the technology, the intelligence to learn where they are, lock them out, and eliminate them. And of all the things we've ever done, and we've done some amazing technologies, the ability to block laser, the ability to pick up red light cameras, speed cameras, and so much more. Captain Jim, my personal favorite of all of our technology introductions was the ability to make my detector stop alerting and annoying me with all of those false alerts. So the good news is, the next time you buy a radar detector, if you buy a top-line Escort or Beltronics, you're no longer going to have that problem. What do you think of that?
Well, I have to confess to you, I haven't used a radar detector now more than probably 10 or 15 years, I just put it away and I just dug it out before the show to have a look at it. And it was because it was just too annoying. I finally had to give up on it.
Oh, we know that. Here's even more good news. If you call us, 800-433-3487, or you visit the website, escortradar.com, here's the good news, Captain Jim. You buy one of our top-line detectors, we'll buy that old Cobra that no longer works. It doesn't even see all the guns anymore. Besides being an annoying radar detector, we will buy that back from you as a trade-in on a new model radar detector.
Really?
Yes, we will. We sure will.
Will he have to get it appraised before he trades it?
No, we make it real simple. It's painless. Depending on what you buy and what you're trading in, it's pretty much one of three levels. Good, better, best. Good, better, best. Just like Bobby's show. Best, best, best.
Captain Jim, thanks so much for your call and a great question. And I too, with my history, and I go back 20 plus years with Escort.
I thought you said to the dinosaurs.
You said to the dinosaurs. I didn't.
Well, you didn't correct me.
Well, I know, but I was.
Hey, can I say hi to Ted? Can I say hi to Ted?
Nice,
because there was a Ted that called in.
Yeah,
I want to say hi to Ted in the studio. I want to say hi to Diane, and I want to talk about your incredible staff. Do you ever do that? Because I'm sure you do, but am I allowed to say Tony and Christiana's name on
absolutely,
here?
Absolutely. And folks, let me just preface what this job before this.
Because we only have about 30 seconds.
We do, and
but they're the most awesome team in all of radio TV. They are incredible. They really are.
They are.
Absolutely. They're awesome.
Thanks, guys.
If you could all come down here, you would.
Tony.
That's why we're in such a good mood when we come up. Bobby is like in such good hands. He doesn't even really have to do the show.
That's right. I just kind of sit back and get guests in, and Ron Gividen one of them.
They're awesome.
I see that we have Stan and Mike and from Washington, Mike from Florida, James from Missouri, and Bob from New York. At the risk of imposing on your politeness, I'm going to ask you to hold another hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up. Ron, we'll take a short break. We'll be back at 6 minutes after the top of the hour with the second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen and Escort.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Folks, I want to welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I started to say back because this is the second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And with me in the house is Ron Gividen from Escort. We're going to give away a Passport Max 2 a little later this hour. And for those of you who have held over from last hour on the phones, we appreciate that. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. This is our annual Escort Radar performance show with Ron Gividen. I'm proud to have Ron in the house. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technology. Power Frame grids are up to 66% more durable and more corrosion resistant than other battery grid designs. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Learn more at powerframe.com. And Powerframe is a Johnson Controls brand, a fantastic product that I use and my customers use in my car clinic service shop. This segment also brought to you in part by Royal Purple. Yes, my choice for lubricants, bumper to bumper, in all automobiles. In fact, Royal Purple started as a commercial application solving big problems like the multi-million-dollar machines like the China Star Bullet train, and then from there ended up in under our hoods. A great product. Go to royalpurple.com. 888 Car Clinic. Call Radar Giveaway this hour, and Ron Gividen when we come back. 888 Car Clinic.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
I want to welcome everyone to this special hour. We're going to give away a Passport Max 2 a little later in the program, courtesy of Ron Gividen and Escort Radar. In the interest of time, and we'll take your radar calls for every person that's currently in the queue and or has been on the air. And for those of you who try to get into 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546, we'll put your name in the hat, and someone of you will win the Passport Max 2. I'd like to move on quickly. Let's take one call. Then we have some Facebook, Twitter, some email questions. We're going to move through those, but quickly, Stan from Ohio. Stan, thank you for holding through the break and through the second hour. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Well, first, I want to welcome Ron Gividen to this hour. It's always great to have you in the house.
Thank you for having me back.
Well,
thank you for letting me stay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Stan, for calling from Ohio. We're headquartered in Ohio. Thank you.
I didn't know that. I knew that for a long time there was a company called Cincinnati Microwave up there that was really, really good for the community and provided good radar detectors. And so I appreciate you folks.
That's us. Just like when the continents surfaced at creation and Bobby Likis was founded, Cincinnati Microwave, many, many years ago, the foundation for Escort. What's your question, Stan? Thank you so much for calling.
I had an offer to borrow one, to have one loaned to me on a trip once, and I declined because I don't speed. But I've been listening, and I've been getting a good education this morning, and it sounds to me like maybe I made a mistake, and maybe it would have improved my safety while I drove. Or the other question has to do with these red light cameras, and I really don't understand how it would help me with a red light camera. Can you help me with those two?
Those are great questions, because you're absolutely right and you're absolutely right again, so that makes you twice as intelligent as me, Stan. First of all, with respect to safety, our tagline is drive smarter. And so, Stan, like everyone else listening and watching, and thank you again for calling, if you knew what was going to happen before you went out on the road and you were going to run out of fuel, you would go get fuel first, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and so a good radar detector has become just like that. It's a safety device. So now, before you come around the bend, there's an accident ahead. If you're tied to our Escort Live app, you're going to know about congestion before you get there. Before you get to a location where there's a speed trap, it isn't just about avoiding the ticket. It's about not getting caught in the congestion of someone else being stopped and pulled over by that law enforcement officer as she does her job. You're going to know about that because the detector will pick that up. So radar detectors give you a peek into the future in the sense that they let you know what's way ahead down the road. Now let's jump over to red light cameras. I like to say frequently when I'm teaching that the fastest growing threat on the road today, Bobby, you know this, the fastest growing threat, it's not the biggest, but the fastest growing threat to your wallet is the form of red light camera ticketing. Even though you're reading in the news that some of those are being taken back down, the attorneys on the side of the red light camera companies are very powerful, very, very organized, and they get those cameras put right back in, turned back on. Red light cameras become a threat because you don't even know they're there until it's too late. Mm-hmm. And so our radar detectors, and tied to the Escort Live app, are going to give you an alert before you get to that intersection. And again, not only make you a safer driver, but Stan, you're absolutely right, it's going to keep you from getting a ticket from a red light camera. And one final note on the safety issue I forgot. We even tell you when you're over the speed limit. So how's that for safety? That's pretty good.
It is safety. Stan, thank you so much for your call.
Can I do this?
Can we do one more?
Sure, it's your show.
Right.
You can do whatever you want.
No, we're going to do this at 888 Car Clinic. Mike,
I love you, Bobby Likis.
Mike and
so it should be Bobby Lovis.
As he kicked me under the table, Mike from Washington, thank you for your patience. I know you've been holding for 30 minutes, and we're all yours. You have the mic.
Wonderful. Thanks,
that was a good pun, Mike.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
That was a good pun. Did you hear Bobby say, Mike, you have the mic? There you go. That was funny. It was very funny. Okay, go ahead, Mike. What's your question?
Wonderful. Well, hey, I have a pretty long commute. I commute about 160 miles a day.
Oh, my.
And I currently use an 8500, and I've had that for many, many years. It's actually, it's on its second car now, so to speak. Love the hardwire kit. But my question is, between it and the Max, other than obviously the GPS, what kind of performance difference in terms of range is there?
So that's a very good question. First, thank you very much for listening to Bobby Likis. Thank you very much for calling, and especially in your case, thank you for holding. And wow, what a commute you have. That's very intelligent, very smart of you to be driving with a capable product. The 8500, when it first came out, Forbes said the world's best radar detector, period.
Wow.
So that detector still works, and it's going to see nearly all of the guns and modulation that's out there, but that's an older detector. It's been out for quite some time. The difference that you will notice between it and the Max are going to be threefold immediately on your first ride. First, the Max will in fact see farther. So for any given arrangement scenario of an alert where there's radar, the Max will pick that up sooner, and a little bit later in the show we're going to talk a little bit more about why that is. Secondly, your 8500 still alerts to some false alert sources. Your Passport Max will eliminate those, so it's going to be very quiet when it should be. So that's the good news. And finally, your Passport Max has the built-in Defender database, so it's going to alert you to red light cameras, speed cameras on the highway, and more, over speed limit alerts, etc. Your 8500 is not going to do that unless you're using the Escort Live app with your 8500, which you could in fact do. So I think since you're such a long commute and just somebody obviously on the road quite a bit, and you have two vehicles, 8500 stays in your close-to-home vehicle, and the Max goes in that long over-the-road, 160-plus mile long haul.
And then one more a short point before we go to another call, Mike. That database that Ron talked about can be updated and is automatically updated on the Escort Radar website, and you just simply plug your detector into your computer and it updates the database. It saves your settings, so you never, in fact, you can save a particular setting and try another setting. It's really easy to do, and that's one of my favorite points about mine is a red light camera, because you don't know where they are, and it tells you ahead of time.
And they're changing all the time.
And they are changing all the time, so it's updatable. And again, Mike, I really appreciate you holding. You're a patient man, and
EscortRadar.com.
Thank you. EscortRadar.com for additional information. Thank you so much.
Can I read these?
Yes.
2.5 minutes.
Okay.
Here's the bet.
Okay. Here's the bet. So
I'm gonna go.
We have Facebook, Twitter, email, and we have a
the
list.
back page. Whatever.
Okay.
So should I time this, guys?
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay.
Tony's going to time this. From Facebook, Matt Carroll says, in regards to Passport Max 2 or any radar detector, where would the best location of the vehicle be to be most effective? Well, first in the vehicle. That's funny. I don't have time for that. But on the windshield, not below the windshield wipers, not up above the blue bar that blocks the sunlight. Alexandria Harris from Facebook says, how far a distance can the Escort Radar detector detect police? Can it still detect if there are trees, etc.? I want to talk more in a future session, so this part doesn't count. Take that off the clock, Tony.
Yeah, right.
We're going to go to the future and talk about that. But Alexandria, the good news is, yes, we see through trees, through hills, buildings, and more because they're magic. On Twitter, Virginia Allwood says, wow, how is the range increased by 3x? Again, that comes in the next segment, but I'll tell you exactly how. Timothy Boley says, can the Escort be seen by police? Not with our red line radar detector. We talked about that. Chuck Bell from email, question, do the radar detectors have GPS built in, give the ability to tag locations which trigger false alarms? In short, yes, they do, but our detectors actually do that automatically, Chuck, which is pretty cool. He says, FYI, I bought a Passport radar detector back in the 80s. It was the most beautifully packaged item that I have ever purchased. We didn't tell him this. That's awesome.
I agree.
That doesn't count on the clock either.
I agree. That was always the packaging's beautiful. Next.
Yeah, awesome. Kent Cook from Akron, Ohio. Wonder if you ever run specials on the Passport Max 2 radar detector. Serendipity, good timing, karma, magic hat. Yes, we do. Holiday season is our heaviest promotional time frame of the year. A. Johnson, will detectors work in very hot weather? They work in every kind of weather. I mean, hot, cold doesn't really matter. Doesn't change the performance because they're digital. Jiro Kiyama from Los Osos, California. How effective does this radar detector, Passport Max 2, how effective? As a longtime radar detector user, won't work effectively if weather's too cold. No, not correct. The Passport Max 2 digital, it doesn't care what the temperature is. Barry Thyman says, can a police officer tell if I'm using a radar detector? Depends whether he sees it or depending on what model we have in your car.
Question.
And the final question, Tom Lavandusky says, will an Escort radar detector warn the driver if an aircraft or helicopter is being used over here? We've talked about that. If you're listening to the show, you already know that the new Escort Live app, yes, we let you know about active air patrol. That was kind of like 2.5 minutes. One more question. Will an Escort radar detector improve my love life? Yes, it will.
And the final verdict was
the final verdict
216.
216.
Holy smoke!
You win. You
Holy
win.
smoke!
You win. You just won a Passport Max. Wait. You have all the Passport Maxes.
I want to
need.
tell you a quick story about that. This is not a setup. This
Better
is a true
be fast story.
This is a true story. So down in Texas, we make radar detectors. The undetectable models. One of the questions addressed. The undetectable models on the Beltronic side, we make one for over-the-road professional truck drivers. Not supposed to use them, but they turn out of all segments in the industry of drivers. Professional drivers buy radar detectors more than everyone. So we made them their very own. It was electrically invisible. A very, very nice model detector, nearly $600. But down in Texas at a truck show, they invited me to...
And the rest of the story, when we come back, Ron Gividen, escortradar.com. No, you can't go to the site and get the rest of this story. You got to stay tuned to Bobby Likis Car Clinic because we'll be right back.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you for tuning in today to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I hope you're having a great day, a great week, and a great holiday season. A safe drive. With me is Ron Gividen from Escort Radar. You've heard me talk about and mention radar detectors for a long time, and it's always a pleasure to have you in the house. When we closed out for that commercial break, you were in the midst of a story, so I would turn the mic back to you, Ron. I know that we have David and Art and Kevin and Mike and James and Bob. We're going to take all of your questions. David's going to come up next, but over to Ron to finish your story.
This was predicated upon your comment that I just won a Passport Max, and then you stop realizing that I bring them and I'm in the industry. So I'm back down here in Texas as a recap for a truck driver show, and they have a charity event. And these guys are hounding me for 2 days to come over to Gillies, world famous Gillies, the cowboy bar.
Yes.
And to show up. So I show up with a $550 Beltronics STI Magnum at the time, radar detector specifically designed for truck drivers, professional drivers, to give away as a charity gift. Now, I'd never been on a mechanical bull in my life. That is the truth. And so not only am I going to, they hound me to get there, then I get there, of course, what's next? They're going to make me get on this bull. All right, I get on this daggone bull, and I can't get off. It starts, and I'm like trying to yell at them, to stop.
They think you're just waiting.
And they think I'm just riding it, right? And so the goal was to time how long you're on the bull. And I ended up being, so other people are getting, I don't know anything about this sport, but people are getting on and doing 10, 7, 22 seconds. 30 seconds is huge. I was on for 1 minute and 12 seconds. So I go to this charity event. That's no bull. That's pretty good. So I won the radar detector. Of course, we gave it right back and did it all again, except for me. I did not ride again. True story.
That's amazing.
I've never been on one since.
I think we've all had our one case to ride. Let's take a call from North Carolina. David, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen and yours truly.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Bobby and Ron.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you,
right
David.
Back at
Merry
you.
Christmas to you.
I have a question about the Escort Radar. What comes with the subscription to the service on the Escort 2?
In the Passport Max 2, which is a very good question, David, the new Passport Max 2 radar detector has Bluetooth built in, and here's why that is a good feature. With the Bluetooth, it will automatically, as you get into your vehicle, this detector with Bluetooth built in will automatically link to your smartphone, and on the smartphone, we have the Escort Live app. And so with the radar detector comes a subscription to the Escort Live app as well. So now everything that's in the app will be yours for free just by purchasing the Passport Max 2 radar detector. Included in that app, all of the speed limits of all the posted local locations where you're going to be driving. So now you're going to get over speed limit alerts. The locations of all the red light cameras, speed traps, and new here in a couple of weeks will actually be active air patrol. All of that is in the subscription, and you're going to receive real-time radar and laser alerts from everyone else driving in the network on top of that. Plus, you get all of the updates, all of the firmware and software updates are included in that subscription.
And David, thank you.
I think the marketers would want me to tell you at this point, depending on how you're packaging that, it can be anywhere from a $39.95 to a $99.95 value on top of the purchase of this radar detector. That includes the cord, the subscription, the updates, and more.
And he goes to escortradar.com to fulfill that order.
Escortradar.com. Thank you so much, David, and Merry Christmas again to you and all of yours.
And now let's take a call from Kevin in Alabama. Kevin, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Hi, Bobby. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
So I have a question for Ron. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Kevin.
I've been shopping for my first radar detector for a while. I've never owned one before. And as the weather's turned colder with increased air density, my car is running really well. So
Good.
obviously there are a lot of different models to consider, and I really want the best. And the, sorry for the pun, but the Passport Max has been on my radar for a while as far as the one to get.
So,
but anyway, I was wondering in specific about the HD function of it. Obviously, I'm more familiar with HD as it relates to televisions. So, Ron, what can you tell me about the HD function of that? What makes it high definition?
So, Kevin, first of all, very much thank you for listening to Bobby. Thank you for calling, and thank you for looking at radar detectors, and thank you for being smart about it. If you're going to purchase a radar detector, it doesn't have to be ours. Well, if you want the best, technically, by test and objective third-party resources testing these products, then that would be an Escort detector. But the other part of this is, if you want something that works, you're going to need to spend, as a minimum, enough money to buy the technology that actually does what it says it's going to do. If you're going to have heart surgery, you would not go, I don't want to pick on anywhere, but I don't think I'd go to Mexico to have heart surgery. I think I would want to go to the best hospital and get the best doctor I could. So you're wise to make an investment in something that works, can be updated as the gun threats change, the software, the firmware in the detector, a radar detector that's not going to annoy you. If you don't spend enough money, all other radar detectors are going to beep and brap at automatic door openers, bank alarms, everything. You're going to hate that radar detector after a short time. So you want to get something that avoids all of that. And if you make a good investment, every time the radar detector alerts and you avoid a speed trap, a speed camera, a red light camera ticket, a laser ticket, you have just compounded your investment. You cannot do that with an inexpensive product because they don't have the technology. Let's jump to HD. Passport Max, HD, the high definition simply means this. As you look in the RF spectrum, which is where radar detectors work, there is a natural radiation noise floor. If you tuned in on your radio and slightly off-tuned in an old-style radio, and you hear the familiar
white noise.
Static sound, the white noise.
Right.
If you could see that on an engineer spectrum analyzer in the RF domain, I'm not sure if this is going to be able to come up on the picture. We've got a before and after shot right here. This background noise floor blocks about half the range for all other radar detectors. The HD and the Passport Max, Kevin, means this. Digital signal processing is kind of like your magic hat. It's magic. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to move that noise floor and eliminate it. The only detector on the planet that can do that. And when that noise floor goes away, we now see signals down the road. It's like looking through a forest of trees. Everyone else sees the trees in the forest. You have the magic hat. You can cut the trees down. Now you can see that much farther. That's what HD means. Signal clarity, increased record setting sensitivity, high-speed performance. It's kind of like a TV. The HD changed the way that the picture is processed and what the image looks like in your home. The HD in the radar detector changes the digital performance of the ability for us to see signals farther, faster, and more clear than ever before.
And we do want to move on, but Kevin, there's one more point that I want you and everyone listening to know, and it's my favorite story, or not story, but a favorite function of the HD part. And there's NASA uses a processing process that has, and if you would, you take it up from there, just give us the 0.16 zeros and a 1.
So when NASA began launching satellites, Voyager was the first series to go way to other planets, 600 million miles away to Jupiter and Saturn, and then on out to the edge of the solar system. Their most difficult problem to overcome was the following. The radio signal coming back. It's this big when it leaves the satellite, but when it travels 600 million miles, it becomes a 1 with 17 zeros, a decimal point and 17 zeros, and then a little 1. That means femtowatt. And an engineer would say that's a very small signal. You and I would say something else, but we can't say that on the air. However, that very teeny tiny signal was below the natural background noise floor that you just mentioned. They could not pick up their own radio signals coming back from the satellite. They used computers and a process called digital signal processing.
Which is?
They take that noise signal, and it is so random that it becomes predictable. And they add into that signal an inverse, a negative noise signal. And when you add 1 plus minus 1, you get 0. So the noise floor comes all the way down and disappears. And right there, buried on the bottom of the 0 line, is this teeny tiny signal so they could communicate with their satellites. That's what we're doing in the Passport Max platform.
And that is phenomenal. Kevin, thank you so much for your call.
So we're picking up satellites from Jupiter and Saturn with Passport Max.
Oh, yeah, right down the road. Mike from Florida, you awesome. Also are very patient. Thank you so much for holding. Your question of me or Ron, please.
Yeah, I've got I don't know if you can answer a question about a Cobra, but I have an XRS 9695. And I found that by the time I tune it to where I'm not getting a lot of false signals, it's pretty much reduced the usability of my unit.
So that's absolutely, Mike. Thank you very much for listening to Bobby and the Car Clinic, and thank you very much for calling. And thank you for buying that Cobra, because I've got good news for you. That's actually a high-level Cobra model. And as you have said on the air, you're stuck with a choice, because they don't own the patent to the technology that eliminates the false alerts, which you were trying to get rid of. So they're stuck with a choice. Turn the sensitivity down to hopefully eliminate the in-close door openers, bank alarms, etc., and remove false alerts, but also give up range. Or increase the range, but now along with it, alert to all of the door openers. We like to say that the Valentine 1 is a great radar detector. It has phenomenal range, but it's also a fabulous Walgreens store locator, because it beeps and braps every time you're near Walgreens with those automatic doors. So the good news for you and Mike is that with your Cobra radar detector, Escort will buy that back. We will take that as a trade-in. And if you buy one of our, the Passport Max, or you buy the IX, if you buy any one of our radar detectors, first you're going to find the sensitivity and range are literally miles farther than your 9,000 series Cobra. They made a different set of models in that series. And secondly, we're going to give you money for that radar detector that really truly doesn't see all the guns now and work. And finally, if you buy the IX platform or the Max platform, we're going to automatically eliminate those false alerts without interfering with the sensitivity at all.
And to do that, he can go to, and Mike, you can go to escortradar.com. And this is a great time, because let me ask this question. If he trades in his Cobra on a Passport Max or Max 2, and he can get money for his existing radar, and also, can he use the product code that is on the site now, the promo code?
If he calls 800-433-3487, and the number's on the website all the way to the bottom of the page to the left, he can use these codes. In person, they can stack offers. They're not supposed to, but it's the holidays. We like to be generous.
And these are holiday codes. It's the Escort holiday offers that are obviously for the
call
holidays.
And ask. Just call and ask.
Right. Tell them Ron said that you can stack all those.
Ron and Bobby said call and ask, and those guys, they're going to work with you.
Mike, thanks so much for your question. When we come back from the break, we're going to take a call from James, also a long-time hold. And then I see that we have Patrick and Art and John. And I want to reach out to WYBG 1050 AM in Messina, New York. Curran Wade, my good friend, General Manager and Program Director in Messina. We'll be back. Don't touch your dial.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for tuning in today. It's been a fantastic show. Just tons of questions for Ron. And Ron, always a pleasure, both personally and professionally, to have you in the house. And you and the Passport and not just the Passport, but all of the Escort radar detectors are the best that money can buy. And not only are they the best in workability, but the design to hold one. And every time I get in my automobile, I'm so proud to have it. It's part of my showcase. Having said that,
every time I get in your automobile and take it for a spin, I'm proud.
Don't you love it? Let's go to Missouri. Take a call from James. Thank you for holding. Your patience is appreciated, James. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic with Ron Gividen and Escort.
You're welcome, Bobby.
Thank you.
First of all, Ron and Bobby, a Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Two things. I would need the number before we hang up. And before my question, I'd like to thank KREI in Farmington, Missouri.
Yay, yes.
For 12 years that I've been listening to you now. It's my Saturday morning deal. Okay, my question is, I would like to get a convertible next year. And I was wondering about the radar detector being out in the sunlight without the roof all the time. Would I have to get a hood for it, or would the sunlight affect it at all?
So first of all, James, thank you very much for the holiday, the Christmas wish, and thank you very much for being such a long-time listener to Bobby. That's not quite as old as Bobby, but that's a long time, 12 years. That's awesome.
And KREI has there is a story behind that as well, and I will tell you that's a fantastic station, and it is. So I really appreciate that, James. You made my day.
All right.
Now to the sun.
So to the sun. It's great to be able to have a convertible and great to be out in the sun. That's awesome. Our radar detectors for the windshield, they're going to be fine. That's not going to bother them. Now in the sunlight, the displays, depending on which one you're using, the OLED displays, if you don't use them in the green mode, sometimes they're a little bit washed out. But the good news is it's audible, so you'll still hear her talking to you every step of the way. However, the alternative, a little bit more expensive because of the system itself, is to install the completely custom installed Passport 9500 CI with radar, full radar, and laser shifting capability. And the good news about that, James, is this. If that is installed inside your vehicle, it is completely embedded. The display, you can embed that in the dash, the controls. They can be in the cockpit center console. And so now the entire radar detector is completely hidden from view. It's not exposed to the elements. It's not exposed to the sun. And that's a great way to go as well.
Where do you put the display?
It comes with a trim bezel. People cut it. They put it wherever you can access behind the panel in the dash.
Right.
We've seen some incredibly neat installs. So if you go to the escortradar.com site, swim around a little bit because we've moved some things on the website. But if you search around, you can see some pictures of some installs. So you've got two options. Radar detector on the windshield, you're going to be fine. Do the custom installed, it's never even going to notice that you've got the top down, except for the speed. You know, when the top's down, I like to go fast.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why you have it. James, thank you so much for your call and for your patience. We appreciate it, and for your kind words. And a hello to everyone. A shout out at KREI in Farmington, Missouri. Now let's go to New York. Bob, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
This has been very educational as far as radar detectors. Now, I've gone through 2 radar detectors because the technology seems to change, and the latest radar detector, my wife made me remove because there was more and more what you call, I guess, false alarms. But so I don't quite understand how this can separate. Like in New York, there's using one frequencies. In Pennsylvania, there's other frequencies. How do I know also whether it's really police or not? I also get false alarms with laser, which was surprising when I started getting that. Can all those be avoided? Because I had to remove it from my wife's car.
So, Bob, that's a great question. I am sorry for your inconvenience. However, when you drive with competitor products that don't have technologies, those are the results you're going to have. The good news is with the Passport Max Radar Detector or the iX Platform Series, first, on the individual frequencies themselves, all of our detectors, and we're the only company that provides this. We own the patent, but we'll actually give you the exact frequency in the display of the source. Now, you can go out on the web and find out where the radar guns exist or not. So as a first pass on any one of these, you can look up, see the number, know exactly what it is, and exactly where you are. But even better than that is the detector in the background. If it's the IX or the MAX, it's going to be processing and analyzing this information, and over a few passes, it's going to know the difference between the real source versus the false alert source. You drive with that detector for less than a week, all of those false alerts disappear. They go away. They're gone. Secondly, laser alerts. You should not be getting a false laser alert. That is the technology. That's a detector that's either malfunctioning or a detector that just wasn't cleanly designed to begin with. These two radar detectors are not going to alert on laser unless it is an officer's gun or you're driving your car in the middle of a physics lab. Why do I say that? Because at 904 nanometer laser, nobody else is using that signal anywhere in the environment except for officers' speed enforcement laser guns. So again, a Passport Max or a Passport 9500 IX, you will not get laser false alerts.
And Bob, thank you so much for your call and for your patience as well. I hope that addressed the questions and your concerns.
Did I sound serious on that answer?
Yeah, well, he asked valid questions.
No, it's very valid.
And
did I tell you that was the coolest thing we ever did was eliminate the false alerts? I did tell you that. If you've been listening to the show, you know that.
And not only that, Bob, as one more thing, you talked about the display and the frequency. There under the settings of alert settings, you can go to the simple display or to a pro display.
Even I can do it.
You have to show me that after the show because I'm still using the simple display because I don't know that I can see or need all the information the numbers bring me. That's a great question. It's a great answer, and thank you so much. And Bob, again, thank you for calling from New York. Now let's go to Indiana. Patrick, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you so much for holding.
Oh, it's no problem, Bobby. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Merry Christmas, Patrick.
I have a quick question for Ron. It may seem innocuous, but as I was listening to the program here, I thought, what about window tinting? Does that have an effect on like the MAX unit?
EscortRadar.com. Hey, you know what, Patrick? It does. It can. However, the good news is, for our radar detectors, they are so incredibly sensitive. The IX and the MAX series, they're so incredibly sensitive. I'm not making this up. You can put that detector in your glove compartment. That's not what we recommend. That is not what so don't go away and say that Ron said on TV and radio and Bobby Likis, put your your radar detector in the glove compartment. But the good news is we're still going to probably pick that up. Now, where it really becomes an impact is with laser. Laser will not penetrate the sunscreen and the sun visor material at the top of the windshield. So we suggest that as a minimum you go below that on the windshield surface.
So would the correct placement be, and this is just a quick question, just above the wiper horizon?
That's where I like to drive with mine. Farther up is a little bit better because now you also get laser from the rear through your rear deck. You've got to be able to clear the seats.
I have this thing about if I go all the way up or if I go all the way down, if I go in the middle where I know that it would probably work better.
For laser.
For laser, but it's just too much in my face to go there.
So I drive with mine all the way at the top, below the sunscreen.
Okay.
That's just where I like mine. But a lot of people go just above the windshield wipers, and you're going to be fine.
Patrick, thank you so much for your question.
Good question.
Much appreciated. Great question. We'll take another question from Art. Art, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding. And we're going to be announcing after Art's question. I'd like to announce the winner of today's Passport Max 2 radar. But in the meantime, Art, thank you again, and your question for Ron.
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to you, Bobby and Ron.
Thank you.
Hello, Art. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I enjoyed the last time that you were on the show. I taped the whole show just to listen to what you had said about the Passport.
That's awesome. Thank you, Art.
Yeah, I'm a retired long-haul owner-operator, and, in fact, I went and got my radar detector. I have one here. It's like brand new, and it is a Beltronics. And I used it for quite a while, and then I ran through Virginia an awful lot. And, I'll tell you, you go through these wait stations, they ask you, you running if they don't pick it up, they may ask you if you have a radar detector. And I hate to lie, I wound up taking it out because I was afraid of it. And I didn't know how many states until you said how many states, basically it's just Virginia, and I didn't know that.
So you know what? First of all, Art, phenomenal story. Thank you for your service for over-the-road hauling and all of those long hours. Thank you for tolerating the rest of the drivers, many of us who don't treat you respectfully on the road. You know what I'm talking about. And thank you most of all for driving with that Beltronics radar. I love the Beltronics line. Now, as to driving with that in Virginia, pulling into the weigh station, if they don't visibly see it, I can assure you they will not know you have the detector. I would also like to thank you for your extreme example of moral fortitude. I don't like to lie either. So sometimes you have to kind of tell a joke or turn the situation around. So if someone were to ask me if I were in the weigh station, are you driving with a radar detector? I would say those are illegal for professional drivers to use. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I would put the question back on them. Isn't that correct? And they would say, yes, I'm just asking. And then you hope that they move on to something else. And in a way, you haven't really lied.
No, you just evaded the question.
Jesus, a guy, whether you believe as the supernatural guy or not, Jesus used to always do a form of teaching in which people would ask questions. He would answer their question by usually asking a question. Like the boss will say to me, Ron, what are you doing? And I would say, I don't know. What do you want to know for? And then I would say, what are you doing? And he would say, looking for your replacement. I don't know. I didn't think quick enough on that. But you know what? I think what I would do, Art, really, I would still use the detector. I would find a way to answer the question that you can morally, comfortably live with.
And Art, thank you so much for your call, and I want to thank everyone today for their calls. And Ron, before we do run out of time, I want to thank you for making the trek back to the center of the automotive universe, to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I love being on your show.
And just for everyone who's tuned in, into the Magic Hat today went all of the callers, the emailed questions that we had, the Facebook and Twitter questions, and you did a fantastic job. And there's just one loose end that we'll get to that.
And got some help.
Well, I'd like for you to announce the winner of the Passport Max 2 that you brought into the studio today. That winner is.
So here's what we're giving away.
Okay.
And you gave away one earlier, Passport Max. Here's the Passport Max 2. It's got Bluetooth built in. The display will pop up and show. It's blue right now, but it also, as you know, Bobby, does red. You can set it in amber. You can set it in green.
Green, yes.
She talks to you. She's a very good companion. She lets you know before you should find out that you're going through a speed limit change. So if you get over the speed limit, she's going to let you know. Red light cameras, speed cams, speed traps. Oh, yeah. It also alerts to radar and laser. That's pretty cool, don't you think? Brand new, tested. We were up and down in Bobby's driveway trying to redline it in your driveway with the radar. So the winner is out of your Magic Hat.
That's correct.
And this is unique because normally, do these come out of the Magic Hat? I guess they do.
They absolutely do. Including
the
everyone
contest
that's
that
called
you won't
in.
let me get.
Well, the contest is totally separate.
The
one that we gave away earlier was through our network. This one is for all of our callers and listeners and folks that called in today. And also we included the email and Twitter and
Facebook, Twitter.
Yes, and the winner is?
All the social media. So the winner is Mike in Washington. Mike, you're going to love this, and thank you, Bobby, for giving this away. Thank you to the Car Clinic and everyone here who has helped in taking the calls. Kim, she made this possible because Mike was by call-in, right? Was Mike from the phone? Yes, Diane says Mike was from the phone. So, Kim, you actually helped Mike to win this radar detector, Bobby, as well as you and your team.
And Mike, you're going to love that, and I'd like for you to call us back after you get acclimated.
And the $100 coupon that Bobby's sending for Christmas to you as well.
There you go.
Is that right?
Okay, we're going to squeeze one more question, then I'm going to ask you the difference between the Okay, Ron.
I was kidding.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Just the detector.
Ron, you're on the air.
Yes, I am. Oh, you meant Ron on the phone.
On the phone.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Your question, please.
Well, I'd like to make a kind of a statement about one of your radar detectors before I have my question.
Okay.
I got one of the 8500s way back when they come out. And I've had several radar detectors before that, and I got to tell you that anybody who questions the value of the money that you spend on one has got to try one, because it was like I had never had a radar detector before that. It was outstanding.
Thank you for your acclamation and testimony. That's awesome. What's your question?
It finally let me down. I wasn't able to get it rebuilt, and I don't think they do it anymore because older model.
Yes,
But,
everything has its time. Even old television talk radio show hosts. After a couple of 100 years, even they have to be replaced. What's your question for us today, Ron?
Quickly.
Is that a radar detector that I can trade in if I buy another one?
Yes, that radar detector we will buy back, and if you call instead of the website 800-433-3482, and if you tell them that you listened to Bobby and you heard Ron on the show, they'll add a special price and discount to buying back your detector. We got to go because I see the clock. We're going to the end. But, Ron, call them. Tell them you've got that detector. You talk to me on the show. You'll get a special discount, as will anyone else listening today.
Ron, I want to thank you. And thank you, Ron, from with that radar question there. Thank you so much for joining me. And we have to have you back next year. And I can't wait to see what's on the horizon on technology, because I know that it changes almost every month or every 6 months. So, from all the Car Clinic crew to Escort, to you, to Ron Gividen, thank you very much. A class act, a quality product. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby, to the entire staff here. The team is awesome. Thank you especially to all the listeners and the viewers. But thank you, good friend.
There you go.
It's always good to be here.
That's it, folks.
Merry
See ya.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Same time, same channel next week, 10 to noon Eastern Time. Like us, you'll love us.